Hello, hello, hello. I'm not fucking hearing anything here either. I know I'm. It works? Somebody says it works, so you can hear my voice right now. Okay, let me. Oh man. All right, I'm gonna try a thing. This is I'm hesitant to risk it, but because this is just with the headset thing, right? So I won't be able to do the stereo nonsense. Um, all right, I'm gonna try and switch it back to the stereo mics. Yeah, this would be buzzy because it's lo-fi. It kind of sucks. And also, hang on, there's a. I don't know, that might help the buzz. I don't know. All right, let me just give me one quick sec here. Oh, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave this alone. I'm going to do this. I'm going to add another audio source. Okay, this is just new audio. Okay. This I want to actually be this. Can you hear this, Mike? Or are you only hearing me through the cheap lo-fi thing? It's kind of odd because I have them both going. Although I'm not getting any, I wonder. So yes means you can hear both. Does that work? Okay, let me try a thing then. Can you still hear me? So this works. Okay. Yikes, I don't know what the hassle was, but the delay you were hearing was because it was going through the audio interface for my Focusrite as well as through the cheap headset. And they just take different times to, process the audio. So that's what that delay was about. But if these are both working now, then I'm just going to move on. Let's just say an ordeal is over, and let's just I guess okay. Oh man, okay. I'm not even sure where to start with that now. Oh, hang on. Let me go to here. Timers, time remaining. I'll give it a minute before I start things off, since we had such a weird ordeal getting going. Okay, cool. Well, if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to play a little bit of Sokoban just to get myself into a better mind state and the like. And then let me play a game of this and I'll babble through it, and then I'll start the timer off, and then, Yeah, well, who knows, James? Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate that. Okay. Where am I at here? Let me get a little drink of water. Yikes. You know, I'm not going to have tea, Neil, because I've had to give drinking tea up, well, with the exception of I have matcha. You know, most mornings I'll have one little small cup of matcha. Otherwise, tea upsets my stomach lately. I don't understand what it is, but otherwise I could, you know, anyway, yeah, it doesn't matter. Water will be fine. I'll be cool. But anyway, thanks for the suggestion, Neil. I appreciate it. Okay, here we go. Let's play a little bit of nonsense here. Let me get into this window. Yikes. Oh, thanks for the, yeah, my niece gave me this. All right, what am I going to do? This seems like it's pretty straightforward. You're just going to push them over. Slow down, Bill. You don't need to be in such a hurry. Try to calm down, man. Everything seems to be working okay now. And, oh, you guys aren't, I have the wrong scene. How about now? Is the audio back? How about now? Okay, okay. That was my fault. I clicked the wrong thing when I switched to the scene or whatever it is that OBS calls it. Yeah, they call it scenes. All right, heebie-jeebie. I think at this point I just got flustered and whatever the hell. So I'm going to play this game and then I'll do some brushing and tapping and then we'll try to forget that any nonsense happened at all. All right, so we'll get over to here. Okay, so all right. There we go, all the way to the end. How is the volume level on the sound? Is the volume level on the stereo spread and all that decent? There will be tapping, yes. Okay, now we're going to take this one and push this one up. And this one over. I guess I want to go like this over that way. And now I'm going to go over this way. Do they have... Okay, let me see if I can catch up with some of these comments here. Yes, there will be tapping. I already said that. Okay, do they have Sokovan tournaments? They have just high scores posted on each of the puzzles, and if you go to, where would they have it? There is some place where I think they have like a high scoreboard or something somewhere. Yeah, but I don't know about any tournaments or any such thing. Little low, it got louder. Okay, hang on. Let me see about the audio. Okay, all right, yeah, I see how that happened there. Let's do this. How about now for the audio level? Is that better? Hello. Hello. You know what I'm going to do? Bear with me for a second. I'm going to move the mics. So, well, here, what I'm going to do is this real quick. All right, and let me move this one over here a little bit. I hope that wasn't too unpleasant for you guys listening to me moving the mics. But how is the audio level now? Is it loud enough for everybody at this point? And is the left-right aspect of it working well? They might be halflings. That's a great name, man. Have I gotten any high scores? You know, Tim, I've gotten a couple of the, well, I won't be on the high score because they also do it in order of who has gotten the best score, but I do have some where I've gotten the best score, or I've matched it essentially. But, I mean, well, and here's the thing. I'm not any good at this game, really. I mean, it may seem to you guys like I am, but that's, I guess because you just haven't seen the other people who are better than me, you know what I mean? But there's a gazillion guys who are, I mean, I say guys, but you know what I mean? I don't know who they are, how they identify, but there's a gazillion humans that are much, much better at this game than I am. I'm actually kind of low tier at best. But that doesn't surprise me very much because I am not as good at spatial reasoning as I am at, say, other stuff like for music or math or that kind of thing that's a little bit more abstract. It's like when I was a kid, I had a friend, and he and I, when Rubik's Cubes first came out, we were both obsessed with it, and I struggled. I mean, I eventually got actually, he helped me, but to get to be able to solve it, but he solved it much more effectively than I did. And it was frustrating because in most other levels or most other measurable, you know, ways, I was like much smarter than him. But he felt good about it because, you know, he felt he was like getting a little of his own back, right? Because he could do the Rubik's Cube and I couldn't. But that was fine. That's fair enough. Anyway, okay. Let me see if I can we'll check these comments, make sure I'm not getting too far behind. Okay, good. Okay, it looks like everybody's fine with the sound now. Okay. Let me finish this, and then I will do some, I don't know which one I'll start with, brushing or the crinkling or the tapping, or what else do I have? I have the brush, I have the bag, oh, the jar, that's what I have too. For some reason, I almost forgot about the jar. How many of you actually like the jar? Am I the only one who really likes it? I know a couple of people have said that they enjoy it, but I just wonder how popular it actually is. I mean, is it just like 3 or 4 if you like it, or is it very popular? Or anyway, this wasn't a very challenging puzzle, though, was it? This was just sort of moving them around, but that's okay. I really just needed it to kind of get my head into a different space from the setup woes, but I don't know what that was about, but it is behind us now. You know, I'm thinking as I'm playing this game of Sokoban, I think next month I'm going to, actually, you know, give me a quick sec. I'm going to poke my nose in my calendar. Okay, so, oh, Max, wow. That is super generous, man. Thank you so much. Everybody, 3 cheers for Max, because he has been generous and giving me money, man. So I think probably in February, I'm going to do another set of, I'm going to do another long epic Sokoban, I think, for gameplays for next month. So I might do 2, I don't know, maybe it'll even go into March, who knows, depending on which one I find. But I enjoyed doing the last epic Sokoban, so. Hey, what do you know? 576. Let's see where that goes, shall we? Where am I at? So, well, here you go. So here's the list of people. So I'm way down here. And all these other people are, you know, well, this one was pretty easy, so my score isn't too bad off the everybody else, but yeah, anyway. So let's go back to here. I'm going to go ahead and let's go to the next one. I'll just leave that now for a minute. Let me move OBS back over to here, like that. And let's see. Yep, like that. Okay, let's move into the other scene here. There we go. And you know what? I'm half tempted to try, if any of you would be interested in it. Yeah, the tapping of the wood is coming up momentarily. Oh yeah, I'm going to hit the timer. Thank you for reminding me. Otherwise, my back will be complaining to me later. But all right, here we go. The timer has been started. And let me go back to here. Let me go back to there. So I got all the appropriate windows. Oh yeah, jars have a variety of sounds depending on their shape. Yeah, maybe I should try it because I have. Well, here I have another jar. But this one, this is a, I have this jar, which you can see, right? And has a lid too. But actually, they both have a lid. So this one, this is my Pink Floyd jar, right? Pink Floyd, of course. All right, you have the whole. Oops, let's go back this way. All right, and the other one is just a. Is the weed jar, right? You know what I mean? But I use it for making the noise, right? That's the one you guys have seen. But this one I actually use as my pill jar, and I only have one pill left. It's my, I have one more pill to take later tonight. But so let's do that. Now let's do this. That's pretty similar, isn't it? Well, they're very similar in shape, right? So here, hang on, let me. Let's do this and get this over here like this. Hang on. All right, here's another jar. Oh, that's a good one too. They're still very similar. It's probably because they're not that much different in size. I should try and find a bigger jar. You know, I think the next time I empty a jelly jar, I'm going to keep it and clean it out and, you know, add it to the jar repertoire. Yeah, I got a few little stash jars, but mostly just because I look at them and I go, man, that could be useful for something. You know what I mean? I have to, I don't know, I have to fight the urge to save things because it might be useful for something. You know what I mean? Anyways, let's do the jar for a little bit. Why not? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I could save a big clean out the next peanut butter jar too, right? Because I get, well, I get the, well, here, I'll show you. Here, I always buy the, you know, the big jar of peanut butter, right? You know what I could try? Give me one quick sec. Now I kind of have a little bit on a mission here. This might be good. How about just a plastic cup? Wow, Tim. Yes, this year will be the 13th anniversary of my channel. Yeah, it will, Tim. Thanks a bunch, man. That's super generous. Man, you guys are just... 3 cheers for Tim, too, right? Man, I really appreciate it, you guys. I do. Man, okay. Don't get choked up, Bill. Yeah, Max and Tim both, right? Thanks, both of you guys. Okay, now let's try the little spark stash jar. Where am I from? I was born in a place called Chula Vista. It's in California. It's down near the border. It's just a bit north of San Ysidro. I guess north and a little east of San Ysidro, that's the border crossing at San Diego is San Ysidro, actually. Am I a deadhead? No, not really. I never got that much into... Thanks, Tim. I do appreciate that. That's very cool. And thanks. Yeah. Again, thank you. Yeah. Anyway, back to the am I a deadhead? No, I'm not really a deadhead. I don't dislike the Dead. I just never really. I don't know. I just never got into them. So I have a small. Story about the Dead. I'm sure a bunch of you have already heard this tale. I'm certain I've told it on the live stream before, but okay, so when I was the summer before my sophomore year, we moved down to San Diego because my mom's dad had died the year before that, and her mom lived down there. Well, my parents were from San Diego. That's where I was. Like I said, I was born in San Diego County down in Chula Vista. So after her dad died, she wanted to go back down for a while to, be with her mom and that kind of thing. And anyway, so I was down there in high school for a couple of years, and then we came back up as a family. So we were only down there for a couple of years. And anyway, so before I left, when I was up here, I was pretty much long-haired, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix sort of guy, right? And I haven't stopped. I've never stopped liking, Led Zeppelin or Jimi Hendrix, but when I was down in San Diego, I sort of started having some friends that were very much into punk rock and that kind of thing, and of course new wave, you know what I mean? Well, whatever. Anyway, so by the time I came back, what would have been, so I was down there for my sophomore and junior year, and then I took the test, the CHSPE, so technically I'm a high school dropout. I took the test and left. The CHSPE is the California High School Proficiency Exam. It's essentially the legal equivalent of a diploma. And I'm turning into a long story, but why not? Anyway, so all of my buddies that, when I was in junior high and freshman and all that stuff, we used to, sneak off and smoke these little skinny-ass joints, because that's all we could get back in the day, right? Anyway, so when I came back, we'd, of course, all graduated to, well, stronger hallucinogens than just weed. And so 2 of my really good friends had sort of progressed from just being, rocker kids to like straight up Deadheads. They were just fully, like actually they went to Dead shows and they didn't really follow them, you know what I mean? But if there was any kind of show that was within driving distance of the Bay Area, they went to them. Which, you might imagine there were a lot of those because they were from the Bay Area. I mean, they were a San Francisco band from the 60s, right? Anyway, but by the time I had come back, they were all still in school, but I, wasn't, but it was kind of funny for me. I actually, well, whatever, there's a lot of stories I'll tell about that someday, but anyway, we used to hang out together and either do shrooms or acid or that kind of thing. And we would, at whoever's house we happened to be at, we would sort of just take turns, at the turntable putting on music, to do whatever. And so they would always put on a Grateful Dead record, and then I would play something like African Head Charge, and then they would put on the Grateful Dead, and then I would put on something like Public Image Limited, and then they would put on the Grateful Dead, and then I would put on something like Killing Joke, and then they would put on the Grateful Dead, and then I would put on, you see how that went, right? Yeah, it was a lot of fun, but, and people used to get confused when we were hanging around. They'd see us in public because for whatever reason, there was like certain little pockets, and not just of geography, but of time, where people got very, very cliquish, right? You know what I mean? If you were one type of person and with one type of hairdo, you weren't supposed to hang out with the other type of people with the other type of hairdo. You know what I mean? I always thought that was just crappy. Like you should listen to what you want to listen to and like what you want to like and dress how you want to dress and, tell everybody else to, kiss your ass, Anyway. So, yeah, there you go. So, no, I'm not a Deadhead, but I'm fine listening to the Dead. One thing I do find really interesting about Jerry Garcia in particular is I've read interviews and heard interviews where he's talking about harmolodics, which is, that's Ornette Coleman's theory about how stuff should work musically. And Jerry Garcia is one of the few, kind of publicly famous musicians that not only professes to appreciate Ornette Coleman, but from the way he talks about it, I think he gets it. You know what I mean? Because I don't know if you can get from that. I'm a pretty deep, Ornette Coleman fan. But anyway, okay. I think I got to catch up on some comments here. Okay, that's Tim's thing. Oh, Quebec. Belzape. Is that Belzape or Belzepe? I don't know. Belzape, I'll say until I'm corrected. Overrated. Well, I guess that's okay. If that's... what are my thoughts on Cowley White? Oh. It's one of those things. They happen every once in a while in California, don't they? I mean, it's not like this is the first time it's happened. They've been happening more and more. Well, it's clearly a result of climate change. And it's, yeah, I mean, even here, like I was actually talking with my dad about this just recently. The way that the Bay Area feels kind of weather, climate, whatever, really reminds me a lot of the way San Diego County felt when I was a kid visiting my grandparents. Like when I was a kid growing up here in the Bay Area in the 70s, it was much foggier up here. And it was much cooler throughout the year. Like, for example, I don't know how many of you guys have ever heard about this, but the San Francisco Bay, it took a long time before any Europeans discovered it. Like the Russians, they were up and down on the West Coast, and the Spaniards, of course, and then, what was his head, Drake, and bunches of them sailed by it, like, for years. They just didn't know it existed because of the fog. It was just obscured by the fog. And we used to get a little bit of that kind of fog, even, when I was a kid. Well, I should say a little bit. It was, San Francisco was pretty foggy pretty frequently. And it's nowhere near as foggy as it used to be. Nowhere near. We have nowhere near the number of fog days that we used to have in the Bay Area as when I was a kid. And not just fewer, but the density of the fog has changed. Anyway, I just bring all that up because it's indicative of how things have changed in California. And so wildfires are, they're a bigger problem, and it's going to be a bigger problem. And, of course, there's the budgets of how to handle it and all of that kind of thing. And, yeah, well, anyway. But some of my thoughts are that it's pretty terrifying. I have a bunch of friends down there, too. luckily everybody I know so far has marked themselves safe on Facebook, so at least I know they're okay. Or at least, as of, earlier today anyway, was the last time I checked. Oh, I love PB. Yeah, I love the weather in San Diego, and I like a lot of things about San Diego. Yeah, just culturally, I think I fit better up in Northern California. There's, kind of just weird, subtle differences of culture from place to place. I think part of it is because from the time I was about 2, I guess, is when we moved up here, till, well, like I said, till my sophomore year, the summer before my sophomore year of high school, I spent all of that time, well, except for vacations down at my grandparents', but otherwise, up here in the Bay Area. Hey, kind seller. I hope you're doing well. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that collab. That went well. Let's see. Oh, I've skipped around here a little bit. Okay, so I've already talked about he's in Pacific Beach. Yay for Pacific Beach. Pacific Beach, La Jolla. I love that whole area, man. Have I heard of the band Helvetia? Is it Helvetia or Helvetia? I'm assuming. I don't know. No, I don't. It doesn't ring a bell with me. Belzap. Okay, cool. Hey, Dara, how's it going? And logistics would be challenging, but if there was ever a fan meetup. Tim, it wouldn't have to be in California. Hang on, I need to have a little bit of water. And actually, yeah, it is a bit of a pipe dream at the moment, but it is my intent that at some point in the future, I will, when when money is less of an issue and that kind of thing, I want to try to figure out how to do Bill's World Tour. You know what I mean? And because I don't ever think, I'm going to fill, big venues or anything like that, just because I don't think there's that. I just don't think that's going to be the case. But it might be that there's small little places, that where there could be like some kind of venue, and I could like do like say a half dozen or more places in the States, and then find other geographic places that I could maybe travel to. The idea being that somehow I'd try to, I don't know how I'd work it out, but if there was enough people to actually justify being at a venue, then clearly I'd be having to charge tickets and stuff, because venues don't let you just have the place for free. But then that brings me to the idea of maybe I could figure out a way of charging tickets, but having them be as cheap as possible, but maybe that not to be a profit center, but if I could just get it to pay for itself, you know what I mean? So that I don't know. So I have all these various thoughts. Yeah, some kind of thing is going to be in the cards in the future. I just don't know what it's going to look like or when or whatever. Yeah, right now the biggest hurdle is basically just money, So I don't know. Maybe I ought to start buying lottery tickets or something. I could win the lottery, and then then I'll just subsidize my own world tour. Excuse me. Yeah, I've never actually been to Vegas proper. The only time I was in Las Vegas, I actually went to a place called Lake Las Vegas, which is just outside of Las Vegas. There's actually a movie. It's with Minnie Driver and John Cusack. I can't think of what it's called. I think it's Minnie Driver. Holy mackerel. Anyway, I was down there. Anyway, that movie was at this hotel, and that hotel is this place. It's the Lake Las Vegas something or other. And I'm pretty sure it was a man-made lake for the purposes of the resort. But there was a computer conference that happened down there. My dad was going because of the company he worked for called Docent Went, and I had done work for them, and so I decided to go down just to observe the thing that was going on. And also just because sometimes it's good to go to those types of events because it's networking, and you can find somebody that would, because at the time I was a contractor, so, yeah. Yeah, maybe bookstores. I hadn't thought about that. That's not a bad idea. I need to think of an idea to write a book, don't I? I guess I could just think about, like, make it be semi-biographical, but then just really exaggerate all of the, the lurid stuff, like over-exaggerate drug use and sexual stuff and whatever, just to make it be, a bigger seller kind of a thing. I don't know. Yeah, I know what you mean. When I used to still drink, I would, actually when I was still doing the computer thing, speaking of that, I was friends with this dude that lived up just north of Sacramento, and he was very much into the whole gambling thing, and he had like one of those preferred customer card type things at one of the casinos up in Reno. I guess it worked at that casino because they had locations at Reno, Tahoe, and Vegas, but we would go up to Reno mostly. And so he'd get us room deals and meal deals and all this kind of thing, and we'd go, just for the weekend up to Reno and do some gambling and the like. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I liked playing Pai Gow, which I can't remember how to play now, but back then I really liked playing Pai Gow. And a lot of times it would, this is really, well, it's going to sound stereotypical and, I guess depending on your perspective, possibly racist, but it is in fact the truth, is it would be me at 3:30 in the morning and a half a dozen Chinese guys who were, we'd be the only ones playing Pai Gow. And, but I would sit there and, because it's an odds-even game, so you can make money last for a long time on Pai Gow. And so I would be playing Pai Gow, the cheapest bet I could get away with just to make it last, and drink J&B and soda all night for free. You know what I mean? Because you're gambling, so it's not free, but it's just sort of built into your losses, really. But Pai Gow's good because it's since it's odds even, they just take a commission. I think at Reno it was only 5%. I think that's the way it worked, which isn't horrible. I mean, to sit there and gamble for cheap and drink decent booze, but anyway, yeah, I would get super loaded, because why not? Anyway, hello Pickles. Hey MSC, how's it going? I could start making content for YouTube. Oh, sorry about that, Rich. Yeah, well, there's the commercial reality of YouTube. Do I think it's acceptable to have AI assist in writing a novel just for ideas on how? Well, here's the thing, James. I have some pretty strong ideas about AI, and it has everything to do about your own personal motivations as well as what's going on. If you're using AI to have the AI do the work, and it's creative work, then you're being a schmuck. You know what I mean? But if you're using the AI to help you work through things, especially to do tedious things, or you're just trying to compile information, or that kind of thing, then absolutely use AI. Like I have a couple of friends that, actually I have several friends that do visual art, and a couple of them have used AI to help with visual stuff. But see, here's the thing: they're using AI as a tool. They're not relying on it to make up stuff for them. I hope you can get the distinction. So if you're trying to write a novel and you're having AI help you through tough spots, or maybe it's helping you with grammar, or there's a lot of things that you could use AI with, and it's fine. And I would have, it wouldn't make me angry at all. What bothers me is when you see ads for it on YouTube, right, where there's somebody that says, where they're trying to, they're making a video on how to tell you how to you can make money doing YouTube. And what they're essentially saying is, you go to something like one of those large language models and you give it some prompts, it comes up with a script, you take that script and then you take that to one of those voice bots, and if you did, some of those even have the matching talking head, right? So, and then, it'll come up with the images and the narration, and all you did was give, a computer program a few prompts, and then it did all the work for you, right? I mean, that bothers me, because art should be humans doing things for humans. That's the point of it, right? Late-stage capitalism has turned a lot of creative efforts into commodities, which really bothers me. It should be humans doing things for humans. You dig? Anyway, so I hope that makes sense, James. Anyway, oh, you guys are commenting, and I have to scroll. Hang on. And, all right. You know, like I said, I haven't been to Vegas, so I don't know. But everybody I know who does spend time in Vegas has said, especially nowadays, it's a lot more modern than it was, back when I was much younger. But that the shows are nice, that there's a lot more family-friendly entertainment and all that. That's there's a whole lot of stuff going on that's not just the gambling, which is fine. Yeah, sports betting. Yeah, I was never really into sports betting. Oh, 2 ads. Yikes. And let's see. You have a pretty spiritual. Start a religious cult. I had kind of thought about doing something along the lines of like an anti-cult. You know what I mean? Me being sort of the anarchist sort of guy, right? I wouldn't clearly want anything to be hierarchical, but I don't know. And I should think of something like that. Although I think that would probably make more sense on my other channel. Hey Ben, nice to have you back. And I'm doing okay today. Since yeah, now that the stream is actually going and functioning properly. Yeah, all right, cool. I'm glad you had a good time, Jim. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to get back to doing some trigger sounds. How about I do a little bit of crinkling? WrestleMania. I never really got that much into wrestling. I've had friends that were very, very into it. I don't know, there's just something about the kind of the camp level of it that just never really appealed to me. But it's clearly, those guys are, it's quite a show, isn't it? The athleticism and the coordination and the whole thing. And it seems like they've always got, it's almost like soap operas as far as, the various arcs that they write. You know what I mean? At least that's the way it kind of feels to me. Because they always have to have somebody being the heel, don't they? Hey Jared, how's it going? Oops, don't bang the mic, Bill. Hopefully since I think I just banged the shock mount, so hopefully it wasn't too bad for you guys. Right, yeah, face versus heel, thanks. Yeah, I couldn't remember that. Oh yeah, no, I get the whole pantomime thing, but I don't know, it just never. I don't know. It's not that I hate it or anything. It just wasn't, not my first choice of entertainment. So for example, if I was at somebody's house, which I've been, and they were watching us, I'd fine. I could sit there and watch it with them. That's okay. But I wouldn't ever pay money for a ticket to go see it. You know what I mean? That's just not for me. Hey Gage, how's it going? I'll do that. Maybe I'll do a little bit of whispering over here. I'll do some crinkling over there. Whispering over here and crinkling over there. Do a little bit of moving. Try to be a little bit slow about it. And moving. And See, Nasal Penny, what do I use in parks? Well, when I was a kid, my parents took me to Disneyland, the one in Anaheim. And then when I was a bit older, there used to, I don't even know if it still exists, but there used to be a park down in Santa Clara County, I don't remember precisely where, that was Marriott's Great America. This was back in, I guess, the mid-'70s is when they put it in. It was the early 70s, maybe. I don't know, I think it was the mid-'70s. And it was pretty cool. It was mostly like a roller coaster type park, you know, a bit like Magic Mountain or something like that. And I've also been to Magic Mountain. I think that's it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. I can't think of any other ones. We're glad you could make it here, Gage. Oh yeah, I used to go to Blockbuster. Okay, so for a period, let's see, this would have been, well, there's a whole, I won't go into the whole soap opera reason as to why, but so from about, I guess it was only for about a year or so, maybe a little bit more than a year, so right around 2000, no, it was, I guess 2000, right, because 2001 I was living in San Leandro, but I lived in this apartment building with my sister and her family. I lived next door to them, actually. And so if I wasn't out and about, you know, doing whatever, you know, adult men who were single would do, a lot of times I would just stay home on a weekend just because of whatever. But I would hang out with my sister and her family, and then she would have other friends over, and it would turn into kind of like small little parties. We'd do that quite a bit, almost every week. Well, I won't say almost every weekend, but probably a couple of weekends a month. And you know, we'd get some booze of some kind or whatever, and anyway, we'd go to Blockbuster and get some videos. Usually it was a couple of videos, right? There'd be one that would be something that we could watch with the kids, and then there would be, we'd get another one that would be after the kids went to bed, the adults could watch, kind of thing. I mean, it wouldn't be like porn or anything, but, you know, you wouldn't want the kids seeing, you know, hyper-violent things and whatever, but... And, of course, there were some movies that they just weren't interested in because, you know, kids don't want to watch dramas and things like that. But I used to like it. It was fine. I mean, as far as, you know, a place to get videos. Back then, anyway, yeah. Holy mackerel. And, yeah, I think we were doing it on VHS even then. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was, I think we would get VHS. Because I don't know if my sister had a, I don't know, when, I don't know. Anyway. I think it had to have been VHS. Hey, Crummy VCR, how's it going? Yeah, you're right about that. The millennium change, as it were, sort of time period was pretty crazy. Yeah, 97 is when I was finishing, is when I went back to San Francisco State and finished all my coursework for my degree, which I screwed up. Anyways, I never, well, whatever, it's a bureaucracy thing. But, so I don't actually have a degree. I did all the coursework for it, but it was never conferred upon me. And I'm not that worried about it. But then after that, in 98, that's when I went to the Netherlands for the second time. And then when I got back is when I started doing the computer thing. And that's when I actually started making decent money. And then, yeah. So it was a good time for me in particular because I, you know, let's see, somewhere in 1999 is when I really started making decent money. And so I was a single guy that had more money than really knew what to do with. And of course I have nothing to show for it now, but yeah. Yeah, Hollywood Video too, right. Yeah, I forgot about them. I don't think I ever really used them very often, but mostly well, mostly because of the Blockbuster. There was one that was like really close to my sister's house or the apartments, you know, so that when I was living there, it was like really easy. We'd just go over there. I mean, it was close enough that we could walk, although we almost never did, just because at the time, just being, you know, it was way before I decided to become a pedestrian. So, yeah, the Y2K craze, that was silly. Oh, you know, somewhere I've got a little toy. It's like a stuffed toy thing that somebody gave me, and it's like this little, it looks like a little, well, it's a little bug, right? And it was the Y2K bug, right? It's like a little stuffed toy that says, you know, Y2K on it, and right, and it's supposed to be a bug, yeah. Anyway. You know, over the course of my life, pretty much every period of it has been up and down, you know what I mean? So I don't really have a favorite, as it were. So, yeah. You were 10 in 97. Let's see, in 97, let's see what it is. I would have been 32. All right, yeah. You know, I started using Netflix before they did stream, right? When I first kind of, you know, had a relationship, you know, money-wise with Netflix, it was when they would send you a DVD, and you know, and then you would send one back, and then they'd send you another one, right? They even gave you the little envelopes for it, you know? Excuse me, I got something in my eye. And to be honest, they got the streaming thing down very good before, a lot faster than I expected them to be honest. What are my thoughts on the fire? That it's tragic, and there's, you know, too much destruction and death, and, you know, all that kind of thing. You know, I don't know what else to say about it. I hope everybody gets, you know, the care they need, and that the firefighters and the EMTs and everybody, I hope they're safe as well, you know, and I hope everybody can get their job done, and, you know. You know, I have some DVDs and Blu-rays somewhere. A couple of them were, I don't know where they are now, because I don't have a player anymore, so, you know, it doesn't really matter where they are, I suppose, but. Oh yeah, sometimes you get a thing out of Netflix, right, and it would just be, because some people just don't respect the material, you know what I mean? It's just like, man, don't screw stuff up. You're messing it up for everybody, man. Okay, I'll do a little bit of brushing. A little bit of brushing here. Try to do some soft brushing. Some soft speaking while I do some soft brushing. Huh. Blockbuster and Hollywood Video to the end. You know, I don't use Netflix currently. I did for a while. Well, like I said, yeah, when I was, you know, because I used to get their things, and when I lived in San Francisco, I had a Netflix account. But after I moved out of San Francisco, I don't remember. Well, initially, I mean, obviously now I don't have money, so I wouldn't spend it on Netflix. But I don't remember why I stopped doing it. I don't know. Wow, that's a lot of money, Rob. That's crazy. $5 billion. right on. Betamax had really good audio. Had really good picture too, but obviously they lost the format war, so. Hey, Rumi Plays. Well, thank you for the compliment, and I am doing pretty well. And thank you for the kind wishes. Yeah, lately, when I watch things that are streamed, well, to be honest, I watch a lot of YouTube just because there's so much there, you know. Not just ASMR, there's just a lot of stuff on YouTube, right? But otherwise, my dad has one of those bundle deals for, it's like Disney, Hulu, and something. I don't remember everything that's there. It's like a whole, well, I guess everything that Disney owns is on there, so like all the Marvel stuff is on there as well, but Hulu as well, and I think there's some other thing that's part of it too. Anyway, so he just lets me have a profile on his account just because he had, you know, he could have an extra person on his thing or whatever. So he lets me do that. So whenever I stream stuff like that, I watch it there. Yeah, I don't have much physical media either, Lilyfish. Or Little Fish, excuse me. Video library, right. You know, I will brush over there and I will whisper over here. So like, try to brush softly over there and then whisper a little bit right here, right? A little bit of whispering, 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 whispering. Whispering, 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 whispering. Thanks, Crummy VCR. Is that the bundle with Disney, Hulu, ESPN? Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't really watch much televised sports, you know, so I don't really consume that much. But I'll whisper over here now for a minute while I try to brush softly over there and whisper over here. Oh, the other thing my dad has is Amazon Prime, so I can watch that too. Well, my one thing I like watching there in particular is this show called Midsummer Murders, which is this English thing. It's just silly. It's like these, you know, yeah, it's murder mysteries, but it's, you know, they're kind of, you know, I don't know, they're, you know, truthfully, I'm not really you know, I don't read murder mysteries or anything like that. You know, I'm not a mystery fan. I mean, not that I mind them. I just, you know, but something about that show I really quite like, and it's just because having been to the UK a couple of times, I really like aspects about it. And anyway, this show is that it's set in this fictional place called Midsummer, and it's all these ultra, you know, charming, quaint English villages that have these heinous murders that happen in them, right? So it's this weird juxtaposition that I find amusing, and plus I just find it relaxing to see the, you know, the settings of these, you know, these, well, you know, quaint, you know, English villages. You know, Jared, there is a video, it's really quite old, where I do explain the rules of backgammon, so I would suggest you go check that one out. Just because it's easier for me to suggest you watch that than it is to make a whole new video, you know what I mean? But, you know, if you do check it out and you still don't get it, you know, let me know, and then maybe I'll think about making a new one. But, yes, I'll suggest that. It is, you know, and if, yeah, it's, once you understand what's going on, it's pretty easy. But yeah, I could see how if you don't know what's up, it's kind of like, what in the world is he doing? The great thing I like about backgammon is that, I mean, I don't know that I'm really that good at it anymore, but when I was younger, I used to play it quite a bit, and I was pretty competitive at it. I mean, not like in an official way. I didn't go to tournaments or anything like that, but I was, you know, I could beat most everybody I knew, you know, except for, what I was going to say about it is that the one thing that's really kind of cool about backgammon is that dice can be a good equalizer. Like, sometimes a total novice could beat somebody who's really good just because of the dice, you know, and if you get bad dice, you get bad dice, and if the other person gets good dice, you know. Yeah, but, oh, anyway, let's see, I'm missing part of the comments here, I understand. Okay, yeah, yeah, I like him. Midsummer Murder's great. Wow. Actual hardbound encyclopedias. Which ones? Encyclopedia Britannica? Oh yeah, I do like Doc Martin. I think I've only seen like the first season, though. I don't know if I've seen anything past the first season. I don't remember. I'll have to go back. But I did quite like that show. I also like the silly light entertainment game shows, I guess, you know what I mean? Except for, you know, they're not things like Taskmaster and 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown and Richard Osman's House of Games and what's the other? Oh, Pointless with Alexander, what's that guy's name? Alexander Armstrong. And then Richard Osman is sort of the other guy. Although I guess he's not on it anymore, right? He's not doing it. So they've been having substitute comedians on there now and again for Pointless. Although I like Pointless Celebrities better because a lot of times Pointless I can't follow along or do so well at because there's so much of the stuff that's specifically cultural to, you know, the UK that it's like a lot of the stuff, the references of TV shows and stuff like that and certain bands and the like that would be things, you know, like, you know, bands that had hits, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I don't even know bands that have hits here in the US. I certainly don't know bands that had hits in the UK. You know, I just don't follow, you know, the hit makers anymore. You know what I mean? Not that I really did that much when I was younger either, but I am completely clueless about that stuff, man. Oh, do you mean the one that with my head leaning on the mic and the Z's going up on the thumbnail? As far as the most recent video that you liked, the Dominator. Oh, Murder in Paradise. I love Murder in Paradise. That's a great show too. What's that guy's name? Ben something. That was the first sort of detective guy that, you know, for the very first season. I really liked that. I mean, I liked subsequent ones too, but the first one I really, really liked a lot. It was kind of a bummer that they killed him off, but the way they did it, I think they did a pretty good job of making it work. So, you know, it wasn't too crappy. Yeah, Death in Paradise. That's it. Plus, I like those types of shows that they do because, like, it's a similar thing to like Midsummer Murders, isn't it? Where the place, the setting, they make it look very appealing and nice and, you know, very kind of cool. That part appeals to me. Oh, and the Death in Paradise, the guy that plays like the commissioner or whatever, the guy who's everybody's boss. That guy cracks me up. He just cracks me up, man. Actually, they all crack me up, frankly, but that guy in particular really cracks me up. Oh, right. right, the young ones, yeah. I remember when that was like in like, you know, well, right, you know, the 80s and the like, right? I don't remember when it precisely came out, but I was aware of it in the 80s. Sherlock's pretty good too, yeah. Sorry about the ads, man. Yeah, sorry they are, Lucas. The only way to have no ads really is for me to not monetize the live stream. Yeah, he's my favorite too, Tim. Yeah. Yeah, the young ones was brilliant, man. It was really like, yeah, there's a lot of, yeah, I liked it. Like the whole cast they worked really well together. That was one of those things that's just like, there was a synergy, right? It was like they just captured something, right? It was like one of those, you know, lightning in a bottle type things. At least that's the way it felt to me. Yeah, and if you guys want to use an ad blocker, I'm not going to be upset. You know. I understand how that is. I mean, I use, one of the browsers I use is Brave, and it has a very good ad blocker built into it. But I only turn it on YouTube at night when I'm trying to, you know, chill out to get some sleep or just relax or whatever. Otherwise, I don't care about ads really, you know. Well, that's not true. Sometimes I do care about the ads. Like, well, you guys all know I'm a left-wing guy, so, you know, left-wing screwball, whatever you want to call me, I don't mind. But I used to, not so much anymore, but I used to get a lot of ads for PragerU, which is, if you know who PragerU is, then you understand why I cannot stand them. I just find them to be, you know, just despicable people, frankly. You know, I'm going to do, I've been brushing for quite a while now. Let's get the piece of wood out, because somebody asked for tapping, so let's get on to the tapping, shall we? Here we go. I'll move over here so I can do some talking over here while I tap over there. Lucas, I do believe that we do get kickbacks from the premium views. I don't know how that works precisely, because the ad revenue is, assuming you can trust YouTube, is we're supposed to basically just split that. So I don't know whether they're really splitting it with me or not. Doing a live stream while you're walking around, so a portable live stream, yeah. I guess you'd have to use a mobile device to do that, obviously. You know, yeah. I mean, if you just walked around, I don't know. That's a thing, isn't it? Like, because I know people like traveling things, right? Yeah, you know, I don't know. It's worth trying. You know, what's the worst that could happen, man? I mean, I'd watch it, you know. Let me know if you do it, and, you know, send me a link. I'll check it out. I use Linux, Crescent Doll. Currently, I'm using Pop OS. Oh, Blackadder, right? Yeah, that's another one, huh? And they get some good people on there. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Brian Blessed, and I like that guy. That guy's just, he's over the top. He's just completely over the top, but he amuses me. And he's, you know, like one of those Shakespearean guys, too, you know what I mean? Oh, there go the pooches. Right, Do I like Mr. Bean? You know, Mr. Bean is hit and miss with me. I think the problem I have with Mr. Bean is a similar problem that I had with Lucille Ball. Is like he pushes things a little too far for me sometimes. You know what I mean? It's just like, all right, I get the joke. You know what I mean? And it keeps going a little bit. Yeah, but Blackadder, I think is, yeah, you're right, MSE. It's I think that's Rowan Atkinson's, best stuff, frankly. Yeah, and Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry, who they work really well together, don't they? I used to like a bit of Fry and Laurie as well. And also, they did okay with was it Jeeves and Wooster? I've seen a few of those too. Not a whole bunch of them, but I've seen a few of them. They're pretty amusing. Sometimes that gets a little silly too, but that's the beauty of streaming things. Is if something starts getting you can just sort of fast forward through it, can't you? Oh wow! Sorry to hear about that, Crescent Doll. I tried doing a dual boot setup. Holy mackerel! This would have been on a laptop back when. It would have been during the 90s. I think I was using Red Hat. Yeah, I was using Red Hat. See, I have issues with Microsoft, frankly. I mean, going all the way back to, years and years ago. I mean, they've had predatory business practices for a long time, and that bothers me. That kind of stuff just really yanks my chain, as it were, right? But it's over time, it seems to me, at least from my perspective, so let's, take that for what it is. It's my perspective. But it seems to me that Microsoft's attitude is that you don't really own the software or the machine, right? What it is, I mean, you have purchased the machine, but the machine is the platform for their software, which you pay, but what you're really doing is buying a license to use it. You see what I'm saying? And that kind of seems to be their perspective, which I think is like, no, I want to buy a thing, and then it's mine. And I did, actually, I didn't pay for it. My dad did. He, bought me this machine that I currently use, because he's a generous guy. But we bought it from System 76. They're the people who developed Pop! OS. It's a bit of I think it's Ubuntu variation, I'm pretty sure. The reason that when Dad and I were talking about it, he's like, oh, I'm going to get you a new machine so you can actually start doing this YouTube thing. Because I was talking about wanting to do it more seriously and complaining about my computer and this and that. And he says, well, let's just get you a new machine. And anyway, so at first I was very like, dude, you don't have to do that, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but he's like, look, I can afford it. Let me just buy it for you. I was all right. Anyway, we decided to buy the thing, and it wasn't cheap, so it's not a budget machine. But it's, I feel like it's a pretty good machine, and but the one thing that you're paying for is the support, right? Because like when it first got here, I had some issues getting it to start or whatever, and basically what it was is it got jostled in the in transit, and it got worked out. But the thing is, they were like Johnny on the spot, you know what I mean? They were like instantly like helping me out, whatever. And they have been, like even if when I had questions, because most audio stuff isn't like hardware, like my Focusrite. That's what I use for my audio interface. Anyway, I like Focusrite. They used to make really good, mixing boards and stuff, and they make great preamps and the like. But so I'm pretty pleased with what I've got. But the stuff's not really well supported on Linux, just because nobody cares, because it's not a big enough market share. But so I would have questions about how to get things rolling or whatever, and they were always really, really good about well, answering any kind of questions and helping me out as best they could. I mean, that's what you pay for when you buy a thing like that. Hmm. Yeah, I don't do much gaming, so I don't know how that would work, how that would play out. Yeah, my dad is a really, really cool human being. 'Cause, well, as you might imagine, I've been something of a screwball my whole life in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm a smart guy, but for a smart guy, I've done some pretty stupid stuff. And my dad's always been very cool. He's always had my back. And when I was, like living sort of an odd life of trying to play in bands and do that kind of thing, he was always like, you need to do what you need to do, right? I mean, he was totally supportive of, what I was trying to do. He's always been super supportive of, me trying to do creative stuff. Well, not just me, my sister too, whatever. He's always been a super supportful guy in that regard. Are you being served? That's a good one too. Wait, keeping up appearances. Is that the one with Mrs. Bouquet? Or whatever she calls herself, because it's really Bucket, but she doesn't want to pronounce it that way. Is that Keeping Up Appearances? Oh yeah, David Suchet as Poirot is really good, isn't he? That's like Jeremy Brett as Sherlock Holmes is really good too. Oh, why don't you have it anymore, Lucas? I only have an 8i6. That's all I really need. Because it's just me in this room, right? So I used to only just have the 2i2 because it's just like, I'm just one guy in a room, right? So why do I need more than, just, it's either me playing an instrument or me doing something with a mic or, you know what I mean? And there goes the dog some more. But the holy mackerel, what are the dogs doing up there now? But the 2i2, it was, I'd had it for a while. So it just needed to be, oh, hey, Dad, how's it going? Say, G. Postman is my dad. Everybody say hi to Dad. But the reason I got the 8i6 is, well, it still has, the same basic preamps in the front for the 2 channels, which I quite like. But then I have 4 line-ins in the back, so I have my keyboard plugged in permanently, and then I have my guitar plugged in permanently, and I still have one free that I have a bass, but it sucks. When I can afford to, I'll pick up a better bass, and that way I can just have things just turned on. You know what I mean? So especially mostly for the music. So when I get ideas and I'm working on things, I don't have to. I can just come sit over here and start working on it, and boom, I'm ready to go. But anyway, so did you not like the 18i20, or did you upgrade, or if you don't mind my poking my nose in your business? Oh, Faulty Towers was great, wasn't it? Thanks, Tim. So do I. Yeah, okay, I could see that. Are you going to replace it, or have you replaced it? Do I have an email where I can send you? Well, sure. You could make things for me. I can't guarantee that I will use them. I'm pretty pleased with the things I have, but sure, by all means, and you can just send them to well, you should be able to find the email on the channel page, but it's just bill.maxvoxpax@gmail. So bill.maxvoxpax@gmail. Fender Jazz, that's nice. I got this. I think it's a Kramer. Is that what it is? No, what is it? I have to look now. Oh, it's a Washburn. That's what it is. It's just a cheap bass that I got off of Craigslist. And unfortunately, I kind of got screwed by this guy. Actually, I didn't kind of get screwed. I got completely screwed by this guy. Because he didn't want to come to my place and bring the bass, which was fine because I didn't really want to have him in my house. And he didn't want me in his house either, right? I mean, that's the kind of the thing when you're, especially in San Francisco, like people are, whatever, it's a big city and people get, I don't want you in my house. Anyway, so we met in a common place. And anyway, so I met with him and checked it out. Everything seemed okay, but there's a couple of things that I just didn't check. And one of the things that I noticed when I was checking it out was that he had it tuned pretty high. And I was like, well, that's kind of crazy. Why would anybody tune it that high? But, everybody's got their favorite, well, people can play their bass how they want to play their bass. But when I got home, I realized that one of the things I didn't look at was the nut. And somebody had filed on the nut so deep that the action was screwed. And I think they didn't realize that you could just replace a nut, you know what I mean? Which, I'll get around to doing. But I think they've I think the neck seems not quite right. So I haven't replaced the nut yet just because I got so pissed off. I just put it in the box and set it aside. Now I'll get to it someday. I didn't spend a lot of money on it. I just wanted a cheap bass just to screw around with because I'm not really a bass player. But yeah, it's one of these days I'll get a decent bass just so I can, because mostly what I do now for bass lines is I just use my keyboard because it's got some decent bass sounds on it, but there's also some synth sounds and things like that I can use. Oh yeah, I was just talking about my Dylan. I was talking about my Focusrite. And I just like the Focusrite preamps. I think they sound pretty good for the value. You know what I mean? They're not, clearly you could go get, like some kind of manly things or something like that, or some, I don't know, Neve or whatever, right? Oh, M Audio. Which M Audio did you get? Okay, the one with okay, I know which one you mean. What's that guy? Julian Krause, I think is his name. He's a YouTuber guy, and he's an audio engineer, and he does reviews of equipment where he actually engineering reviews them, you know what I mean? And he explains everything about it and all that kind of stuff. And if I remember right, he said that the M Audio preamps and everything was all pretty, good to go. You know what I mean? I think he had pretty good things to say about it, if I remember properly. I don't have an amp right now. Well, that's not true. I have an old solid-state bass amp that I bought to use for my keyboard. I used to use an old Rickenbacker amp. And before that I had, well actually I still own, but it doesn't work, as an old pig nose amp. Not the little battery powered one, but it's a, what is it called? It's the something 150 cross mix or something. It's a solid state that's got two 75-watt channels in it. And it's was the first decent amp I ever had. But it was actually, I really quite liked it. It's solid state, but when you're playing dive bars and stuff, that's fine, so I have a Rickenbacker. It's a late 70s. You can see it if you go to Three Monks in a Tub. That's the guitar I have. I don't know, I've got some pedals and stuff. What I use for an amp is I have a what are they called? Two notes? Yeah, it's two notes. I have a two notes preamp that I use, and I treat it just like it's an amp, and just, it has a cab sim that I think is all right. It works okay. It does good enough for what I'm doing here on YouTube. I'm not making Grammy-winning records. I'm making stuff on YouTube, Oh, all right. Well, go take care of the girls, man. I will talk to you later, Dad. Oh, just for everybody's knowledge, the girls are these two pit bulls that my dad, he's got these two, I don't remember what they call them. They're white with tan, and they have pink noses. I think that's what they call them, is like a pink nose pit bull or something like that. So if I had what set up professionally? My guitar? Yeah, I have had it set up professionally, but for a while now I've just sort of taken care of it myself. Actually, I need to, yeah, it needs some, I should probably check the intonation on it, to be honest. It's been ages. Yeah, twins are pretty, they've got a lot of wattage in there. Except for, I think the best part about having the watts on the twin or and any kind of Fender amp like that is really for the headroom, isn't it? I mean, yeah, Rico sound, exactly. Yeah, that's that, the American sound, right? You know? That Fender thing, man. I would imagine, though, that the twin works well as a pedal platform, though, yeah? Yeah, I guess if you had some, like really high output pickups, you could probably get it to drive hard enough. But you could get the same result by just, putting some kind of gain device in it, right? Like a little MXR micro amp or something like that would give you the same result, really. I mean, it was always pretty clear. And there's, there's a lot of, various things you can get. Do you want dirty drive or do you want a clean boost or whatever the hell, right? I mean, I'm fine using pedals. I know a lot of people are like, you have to get it out of the amp. It's like, dude, get the sound however you get the sound. I don't care. Does it sound the way you want it to sound? That's all I give a shit about. Oh, yeah, I could imagine. For the modulation thing, yeah. Oh, wow, the new one's coming in. Right on. Good for Dylan. He's getting the new thing, man. I used to have DiMarzio Super Distortions on Ibanez V I had many years ago. I shouldn't have got rid of that guitar. It was a good guitar. It's another one of those things that you do that's just like, why'd you do that, man? Oh man, we're inside of 20 minutes now. All right, on. So, did you swap out the neck pickup or the bridge pickup for the humbucker? Or did you get? Did they make a stacked version? A single coil shaped stack version of a Super Distortion? I haven't really put any new. Well, I've had just the Rickenbacker for so long. I mean, I guess a few years ago I bought my EVH, which I bought basically on a whim because I've never owned a guitar with a Floyd Rose before, so I bought the EVH for that. And I haven't put any. It only has and it's the cheap one. It's the cheap Indonesian one. But I'm totally happy with it. It's a fine guitar for just makes me happy anyway. Right on. Okay, I could see that. Everybody else is probably getting bored of us talking about guitars. Oh, anyway, okay, wait, Dylan's saying something about his last PC. That's pretty good if you got some 7 years out of a PC. If it was reliable and you got good use out of it, that's pretty good. When I was doing the programming thing, a computer would last me really only a couple of years, right? Because, this was, like I said, late 90s into the early mid-2000s. I think, when did I stop doing that for money? Probably like I don't know, maybe as late as 2007. I don't remember precisely. Maybe not quite that late. I don't know. But that was, well, I don't know. It seemed like there was that period of time when processors were getting fast. Well, I mean, whatever. That's that whole, was it Moore's law or whatever? Yeah. 3 Monks in a Tub World Tour. I don't know, because it's just me, right? I mean, just one guy. And I can't. I mean, I'm still struggling just to get stuff off the ground, to get, putting stuff out on that channel, frankly. But who knows? Maybe I'll do a combined thing, right? Maybe it'll be the Bill with a Beard World Tour, right? And I'll open for myself, right? Either I'll do ASMR to open the show and then finish with some music, so like Bill MaxVoxPax opens for 3 Monks in a Tub, something like that, or vice versa. Oh, a Jag Stang, huh? Nice. I don't know much about the Kurt Cobain guitar. I know a couple of people who have owned them and liked them. I think, man, I can't think of the name, but there's somebody who has been on the live stream before. I think they've got 2 of them now that I'm thinking about it. Fiesta Red, right on. What little experience I've had with Fender's Mexican stuff, I think they're pretty well made. At this point, I don't know if I'd spend the money on an American one. I think I might just buy a Mexican one. Yeah, the Japanese guitars are always really expensive. It's like, I haven't ever played one, but they're reputed to be really nice, is the Charvel Japanese-made ones. There's a really nice one that I saw on the Sweetwater website that's got a walnut neck. Oh, wait a minute, is it walnut or Wenge? It's Wenge, I think. A Wenge neck with a walnut top, I think that's what it is. Man, I can't remember. I just remember looking at it and going, man, that's a lot of nice looking wood. Yeah, to be truthful, like I said, I have the Indonesian EVH Wolfgang, and that's a really well-made guitar, man. And it was like, I think it was only like $600 or $500 or something like that. It was really inexpensive. I mean, as far as guitars go, but man, the neck is fantastic. Do I care for photography? Yeah, I'm pretty ignorant about a lot of photography. But my friend Steve he's an artist, and he's also is a senior lecturer at Chester University, and he's a photographer. That's among the art that he does. He's an artist that uses photograph, takes photography, whatever. Whatever. He's not really a photographer in the sense that he's Mr. Camera Guy. He's more of an artist that uses cameras. Yeah, there's the Guthrie Govan one, Sasha, and then there's another one that I think it's one of the DK24 ones. But I think that the Guthrie Govan one might be a DK24 too, isn't it? but I haven't played any of those. I mean, it looks like the heel that they've got on it looks fantastic. It looks like, you know, so the reach up the high frets is going to be really nice. And I played some Charvels way back in the day, and they always had really nice necks, I thought. Man, I remember when Charvel was like, you know, they were mostly parts. You know, people, well, it was like, you know, the Van Halen thing, right? People starting to like do their own thing and putting them together. I mean, he really sort of started a kind of a, I mean, other people had done it before, but it really got kicked off during the 80s anyway, after Eddie. Oh, you should check out my friend Steve's Facebook page. He's got a lot of photographs on there, and he, well, like I said, he's a practicing artist who also is a senior lecturer at Chester. Oh wow, interesting. I'd be curious to see it. You should send me a link or something so I could check out your work, Lucas. I'd be curious to see it, and I'd be happy to, you know, click likes and shares and all that kind of stuff, right? You know what I mean? You know, I haven't played a Squire recently. I mean, back in the day, they sucked. You know, I mean, they just did. Of course, I'm thinking, you know, in the 80s, right? I haven't really played one. But I've heard, well, what's that guy? Philip McKnight. You know, if you've ever seen his channel, he's several times said that Squires are, when you look at the money, that they're like a really, really, really good value. And he's, you know, claimed them to be, you know, completely, you know, you could play them at a pro gig, you know what I mean, if you could get it set up right, you know, which is like, yeah, there you go. His name is Stephen Clark, Stephen with a PH, and Clark ending with an E, so C-L-A-R-K-E. Send it to the bill.maxvoxpax@gmail. Or you could just go post it on the my Facebook page, you know, post it into my, you know, into the feed if you don't mind other people seeing it. I mean, I would think that you would like that idea, right? You know, get other people to see it. You know, but if you have like, you know, Instagram and stuff like that, yeah, send me your stuff so I'll click likes and the like, man, you know. I can like and share and the like. Like and share and the like, right, dude? Oh man, we're inside of 10 minutes now. Well, it's going to be a maple neck, right, Maximilian? So, you know, you don't need anything on it, right? I mean, the EVH is just bare maple, pretty sure. Feels like it to me, too. Lucas, I do these every Saturday night at 8. Nash for cash. Hey, how's it going, man? You're like here at the very end, man. There's only like 7 minutes left. Well, you know, thanks for coming anyway, you know. Yeah, you know, I mean, the Rickenbacker is, you know, obviously it's got a finish on the back because that's what Rickenbacker does. But that, yeah, it's entirely maple. The entire construction of a Rickenbacker guitar is maple. And I think in the 70s it was a 3-piece neck. Pretty sure. I have the Rickenbacker 620. It's a solid body. Has fantastic action. Very narrow neck. I think it's a 10-inch radius. Oh, wow. I think this might be the biggest number of people on the chat yet. Yippee-yay, man. Oh, and tell your friends to subscribe, man. I'm almost at 30,000. I'm like 29,900 and something. You know what I mean? It's like really, really close. You know, Tim, it wasn't inspired by anything. It was just I was trying to think of a name for the channel, and I was just, you know how, like, you know, if you're a kid trying to start a rock band, right? You're trying to think, what's a good name for our band? I was kind of just doing that by myself. I didn't have any friends. There was nobody else but me. Oops. And I don't remember exactly how it came into my head, but yeah, it was like, it was kind of a non sequitur. You know, it's like, ah, okay, sure. I always like that kind of thing. Oh yeah, when I used to play in this band, actually it was the first real band I played in. That's not true. It's the first real band I was a member of. I used to sit in with some other bands before that, but and it was a three-piece. It was me singing, playing guitar, and a buddy of mine who sang and played bass, and then a drummer. So, you know, like just three-piece. But I had a black and white. Well, my Rickenbacker 620 was black and white, and he had a 4001 as well that was also black and white. You know what I mean? So it was like this sort of, you know, I don't know. And we were doing this sort of. You know, I guess from a superficial comparison to the Jam wouldn't be out of line. You know what I mean? So like we would wear suits and stuff, and that kind of punkish slash modish slash whatever the hell you think it was that was going on in the 80s. That would have been like, what, 83, 84 or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 83 is when I joined, when I went back down to San Diego in 83. And I actually went back to, because I was going to be sitting in with a band called Show of Hands, but then they broke up, and then we started a band called Mr. Safari. All right on. Well, thanks for hanging around, Nash for Cash. I appreciate the loyalty and the longevity of interest, etc. Well, maybe we'll run a little over tonight. I don't think that would, you know, piss you off, would it, Rob? Yeah, you know, well, I decided I'm going to try and make the YouTube thing work as a career, right? You know what I mean? Because I have, you know, I have the health issues I have, and it's like I'm thinking, you know, if I could get this going, I could do this till I die, you know, so I don't have to worry about it. Because I have screwed up a lot of things in my life, one of them being that I have no real savings for retirement or anything. So I'm kind of screwed myself over, you know, so I'm going to have to, you know, do something about it. So, you know, this might be the thing. Thanks, that Pet Master. I appreciate that. Yeah, there was during the me abandoning the channel time period, there was two things going on. One was, well, I started getting more into like fitness and stuff, right? So I just didn't make time for it. And then that sort of was, you know, whatever, came to an end to a certain degree because of my back. And then I just didn't do things because of my back. I was basically just in pain all the time. And I just wasn't getting medical help for it, which is really stupid. If you need medical help, man, get the medical help. But yeah, so, you know, but I'm back for good. The punk scene in San Diego was, well, there was a lot of people who were punk rockers or self-identified as punk rockers or whatnot, but no, there was nowhere near this, you know, the same amount of bands and stuff like that. There wasn't really much of an original scene. I mean, I was always playing in originals bands, and there weren't that many venues for us. I mean, the most consistent, reliable venue was the Spirit. I don't even know if the Jerry Herrera Spirit still is going, you know. I don't know. I mean, I think he opened that like in the late 60s or something. But yeah, no, it wasn't anything like LA. Yeah, there'll be a little bonus bill time, Rob. I appreciate that, Rob. Yes, people seem to like the wood tap thing, so. I think that might be the favorite of the triggers that I do. Although the next trigger video that'll be coming out will be brushing. Because my sister and I did some craft stuff over the Christmas holidays, and one of the things we acquired to do this craft stuff was a cheap little set of a bunch of paint brushes. So I think there's a couple of, well, I don't know, some of them might be screwed up now because we, whatever, they were cheap and we were using them for stuff, but I think there's still a couple that would be suitable for me to use for brushing on mics and the like. So I might be able to get some variation on brushing as opposed to just being the one craft brush. And of course I have a beard brush somewhere, which, anyway, so that it's going to be, oh, there it goes. Just let me click the thing and dismiss the thing, and there we go. So we'll, oops, let me get the OBS back thing over there. There we go. So we'll go for a little bit more. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on in the 80s. I'll give you that. And I did see some decent shows here and there, but bye, Pet Master. Oh, wow. I didn't even realize Black Flag was still doing anything nowadays. Holy mackerel. Oh, you're going to hang out then, huh, Pet Master? All right, right on. Yeah, I'll go for a few more minutes. I don't know. I'm not going to put a numerical value on it. I'll just go until I whimsically decided that I can't deal in it anymore. Yeah, there you go, playing an encore. Well, with that in mind, maybe what I'll do is I'll just do one more quick pass of all the basic triggers. So I'll do some jar. Do a little bit of jar for a minute or so. All right, well, if they capture the energy and the material's doing it, then, that's a good show, man. Cool. You're just a child there, Lucas. Yeah, I was born in 1965. Okay, let's move on to... I'll do a little bit of brushing again. Do a little bit of brushing, a little bit of soft brushing, just to sort of mellow out. And, yeah, just a bit of soft brushing there, yeah. Brushing a little bit on the microphones. Brushing on the microphones. It seems like there's some comments coming. Yep, I'm going to be turning 60 this year. an old fart, man. Well, their parents are a little bit older than me still, but you know. Oh, there go the pooches again. All right, let's move on to do some crinkling. Yeah, that's the thing, though, right? I mean, it's like there's always stuff. Like when I remember, let's see, because I was born in '65, so I was 15 in 1980, right? Which, you know, for the '80s, it was like a good age to be. But you know, when we were kids in the '80s, of course, we were all like, you know, but all the good stuff happened in the '70s. You know what I mean? I'm thinking of like, you know, like Roxy Music or Throbbing Gristle or, you know, all that stuff, right? You know what I mean? It's all happened in the '70s, you know. Yeah, you know, that's always a thing that's going to happen, right? Oh, they were born in '60, so I'm older than them. Yikes, okay. I misunderstood you completely. Well, you know, the thing is, though, Tim, that modern medicine is, you know, getting it so that people can live for so much longer. It's like, you know, you may not even be anywhere close to the crest yet, man, you know? I'm pretty sure that I'm well past my crest, though, just because of, you know, not just since I'm turning 60, but that I did a lot of, you know, overindulging and clearly, well, mostly booze, but a fair amount of other crap, too. Yeah, well, that's the thing, Lucas. The past is always simpler, right? It's okay to be nostalgic, but just don't cling too tightly to anything like that. That would be my advice. Yeah, you know, that's the thing about the 100 years, man, because let's see, if my great-grandfather on my dad's side, he lived over 100, and my great-grandmother on his side, his mom's mom, so his dad's dad and his mom's mom both lived to be over 100. I think they're as far as being in my, you know, direct lineage backwards, I think they're the longest lived, but I had an Aunt Cat, who my sister is named for, actually, and I think she broke 100 as well. But I remember when I was a kid, because she died, I think, like just after or just before I was born. I can't remember. But like, she was in her 80s and broke her leg skiing. You know what I mean? So that gives you an idea about, you know, at least some of my ancestry is. "106, dude, that's crazy good. Right on, man." Yeah, Tim, if you're going to do nostalgia, just remember that it's an indulgence. You know, it's fine. It's okay to, you know, indulge in it now and again. But yeah, you need to be present, man. You need to be here, where you're at. You know what I mean, man? Get all zen and shit. Yeah, I get what you mean, man. Because there's times I've often thought about, like, how cool it would have been to see Miles Davis in the 50s or something, you know? Or go to, like, one of the coffee shops in San Francisco back when, you know, Kerouac, Ginsberg, and Burroughs were hanging out, you know what I mean? That would have been something crazy, you know? Yeah, I know what you mean, man. I think if I had a time machine, I'd do a similar thing. Like I just said, I'd want to go back and see Miles Davis. I'd want to go back and see Thelonious Monk. You know, I'd want to go back and see like Lester Young and Coleman Hawkins and all these guys back in the 40s. You know, but I wouldn't want to stay in those times. You know, but it would be, you know, it'd be nice to be a tourist. All right, 93, that's a respectable age, man. Yeah, if I'd never taken up smoking and if I'd never been such a hard drinker, I'd probably be living much longer than I'm probably going to, but I don't know, we'll see. Holy mackerel, I'm up to 60. I don't know that I've ever broke 60 or anything like that. I don't think I've ever been anywhere near that. I mean, that's the thing, is I don't really ever keep track, so I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think I've ever been anywhere near 60 before. Zowie. That's pretty great, huh? Okay, that's no crinkling. I'll do a little bit more tapping, and then I'll end on the new trigger of the plastic cup. So I'll do a few passes with my fingernails. Do a little bit of tapping, a little bit of whispering. Yeah, 63, you're right on. That pleases me, man. You know what I mean? Because I just take it as another piece of evidence that the channel's starting to catch on, you know? You know, maybe, Tim, you know, who knows? Modern medicine being what it is. If I'm going to live that long, I hope that somebody can do something for me on my spine, because I feel like I've lost more height. Because I've lost well over an inch of height from my degenerative disc stuff. Do I play much jazz? Do you mean by play, like to put it on and listen to, play jazz? I do that every day, just about. But if you mean as a musician, I haven't actually played anything that I would call jazz in years. I did take a course, when I was in college, that was called the Jazz Theory of Improvisation. It was when I was going to Diablo Valley Colleges in Contra Costa County, so just north of here. Well, there's a whole long story about that class, which maybe I'll tell some other time, but since we're getting at the end of the night, I'll just be brief on one thing. But ultimately, because we went through two different teachers, but when it settled down and we had the second teacher, who's what we had for the rest of the semester, is this woman named Sue Mascarella, who's a piano teacher, PhD human from Cal Berkeley. And so they kind of had her come guest teach the course. And her idea of teaching us jazz theory was to hand out charts, make sure everybody understood the chord changes, and then go 1, 2, bop, bop. And it was bop. She wanted us to, we did bebop. And so it was stuff like straight note chaser, oleo, you know, things like that. That was hard, man. That was hard. Yeah, because up until then, I'd only ever played, like, you know, basically rock stuff, you know what I mean? But I really loved jazz, so I wanted to learn about it, and man, that was crazy. It was good. I mean, I learned a lot. I learned a hell of a lot. The other thing that was really good about that, she was the person who kind of had a big impact on me as a player, because about halfway through the semester, she gave me a piece of advice, which was, yeah, dude, you have amazing dexterity and you can play a lot of notes really fast, but I find it to be pretty dull. You know what I mean? She's like, you know, she gave me the advice of play with your breath. You know what I mean? Like, pretend you're a horn player. You know what I mean? So you have to phrase things. Yikes. A lot of noise coming up from... But yeah, anyway, that was a good piece of advice for me. Camera's right on. Right. Time travel, Tim, is a difficult thing, isn't it? Kick a Chadstad. Growing the beard only took a couple of years, but I've had it. Let's see, I'm 59, so my sister is 56, so 16 years I've had the beard. You know, I miss vinyl, Sweet Toasty. I mean, I don't believe that vinyl is inherently better than CD or digital or any of that. I don't think any. I mean, truthfully, from a measuring standpoint, digital, you know, walks all over vinyl or tape. But listening to music is inherently a subjective thing. So you should listen to what makes you happy. And if you like vinyl better, then listen to vinyl. You know what I mean? But yeah. Okay, when I lost it, where I'm at. Do I like? So it's 10 years ago. All right. Old video. Okay. You know, I do like Iron Maiden, although I don't really listen to them all that frequently lately. But yeah, sure, Iron Maiden's great. What's that song? Number of the Beast, right? How's that riff go? I can't remember it. I can't bring it to mind, but that was a pretty good riff. Yeah, for me, it just, I didn't do anything special, man. I just let it grow and it grew there, you know. Giga Chad, that's, you know, so I don't know what to tell you, but just have patience, I suppose. Yeah, I'm going to be winding up pretty soon, so. Do you live stream your playing? No, I don't. My music channel right now is kind of inert. I'm hoping to, I keep saying that, I keep hoping I'm going to get it off the ground, but things just get in the way. And for the moment, I'm prioritizing this channel, so if something's going to get interrupted, it's not going to be this channel. So, okay, we got a little plastic there. Yeah, you're right, Lucas. There is something about the whole thing with vinyl and holding the record in your hand and opening up the, you know, the album cover, and especially if it was like a gatefold thing, right? You know what I mean? You know, I don't know. I don't know whether my dad would be comfortable coming on live or not, Tim. I might mention it to him. We are going to be doing a thing. I don't know whether he'll put it, because he has a video, or excuse me, he has a YouTube channel. I mean, from the standpoint that he consumes YouTube a little bit. I don't know whether he's ever posted anything on it or not, but he and I have been talking about the idea of getting him to either film himself or maybe I film him or whatever, just to talk about, you know, stuff from his past and whatever, just to have a record of it, you know, for posterity. Because that's one thing I miss. Like you guys have talked about, like, well, Lucas, you mentioned, you know, your tales and things, and, you know, hearing things from your grandfather and the like. And man, when I was a kid, I had, you know, grandparents and great aunts and uncles and all, you know, all kinds of things in my extended family. And there was always all these family stories going around, and, you know, and I don't remember barely any of them, you know, and they're all dead now, so they're gone. So, yeah, you know, it's like, I wish, you know, somehow that stuff got put down. Yeah, I don't own a turntable anymore, Lucas, so I don't know. I just stream. Grace and Drago. I kind of enjoy the Grateful Dead. We talked about that earlier in the stream, so I won't go into it now, especially since this is sort of bonus time. But if you have the opportunity, I'd say go back and watch this from the start, and you'll hear some of you talking about the Grateful Dead a bit. Yeah, WrestleMania, right? Right on. Which record did you buy, Maximilian? Yeah, my dad's pretty funny in that regard. He's got a good sense of humor. I mean, I don't know if he's funny in the sense that he's, you know, like a comedian guy, but yeah, he has a good sense of humor. And he's the one that, like when I was a kid, he took us to see Blazing Saddles at the drive-in. You know what I mean? When it first came out, right? We also saw Young Frankenstein when it first came out when I was a kid. I mean, he's a big Mel Brooks fan. I mean, I like Mel Brooks, but my dad really likes him much better than I do. But he's also a big Jackie Gleason fan. Oh, okay. Well, you know, as long as you enjoy it, man, that's all that really matters, Maximilian. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of this now, and then I'm going to wind it down and call it a night. Yeah, I think Mel Brooks is still alive. I'm not 100% sure about that, but okay, you guys, I think I'm going to call that a night for tonight. Man, this was a good stream, I think. You know, got a lot of people in, a lot of good conversation. I know that there was a fair amount of, you know, monopoly on guitar talk for a big part of it, so I hope that didn't, you know, bore too many of you too poorly. And if it did, maybe it was boring enough that it just, you know, zonked you out and you could just either tingle or sleep or whatever the hell. But 98, wow, crazy. But yeah, so I'm going to call it a good night, guys, and I will see you all next Saturday at 8 p.m. Hopefully I won't have any more, you know, issues. I don't know what that was earlier, to why the audio didn't work at the start, but, you know, hopefully that won't happen again. And anyway, aloha, siblings. See you next week.